Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, and I know it's just been like 1 or 2 hours since my recent videos uploaded, but I forgot to record this video, so hooray. This video is going to be what if naofumi had the boosted gear from DXD. So, let's get into this. We start off with naofumi after the after he's betrayed. And he's talking to the slave owner, and that goes as canon. He gets Raftalia as a slave, but at night, when they're sitting in the forest, and he's cooking food, and he watches over her, and after she falls asleep after her traumatizing dream, he falls asleep, and he has a dream of this big dragon looking at him as it talks to him. Naofumi Iwatani, I am Drake of the sacred boosted gear of Longitis, or the 13 lost weapons of Longitis, and I have chosen you to be my vessel. Naofumi being confused as to what he means, asking him, okay, Drake, what do you mean by boosted gear, sacred boosted gear of Longitis? As Drake would give the explanation of the long history of the divine dividing dragon, or the divine dragon, and the boosted dragon, and the history of the wielders. And Naofumi would accept this as truth because, well, he lives inside of him, and he has to. Naofumi believes himself only and trusts himself only because he was betrayed. And he wakes up and he looks at his right arm, and the boosted gear gauntlet is right there, stage 1. And the green gem is shining with a red aura in the middle. As he looks at it, he says to himself that looks like that dream was real. Looks like I'm gonna have to test this thing out later. As Raftalia would wake up, as she would look up at him because she was laying on his lap, and she would ask him what's wrong. He would say nothing. Let's pack up and go out to get more levels and supplies. And everything else up to the point where the first wave is going to happen goes as canon. Whereas when they're preparing for the first wave, Raftalia gives her speech about her being his sword. As Naofumi would look behind her and say, yeah, let's do this, Raftalia. She would say, right. And they would be teleported off to the city of Or. I believe that's what it's called. I forgot. I haven't read the manga in a hot minute, or the anime. But they would see that the village is under attack, and the people are still evacuating, and that the flare won't really get the attention of the knights. So they rush down to help. Well, Naofumi telling Raftalia to evacuate the rest of the civilians, and he'll handle the rest. She says, okay, but be careful, master. And he says, I will be, as he runs down there, as he hears the word boost. He looks at the gauntlet on his right hand. It's going a bright red as the gem in the middle is shining more. And he looks around at it as he's running, and he thinks to himself, did it just say boost? As he would just ignore it, and he would just keep running. The gauntlet would say boost. And then after another few minutes of running, it would say boost. He now has a 3 times boost. As he reaches the village, he sees all the monsters attacking as he goes to defend. And he would go to throw a punch with the gauntlet as it would blow the monster in half, the upper half disappearing. He would be a little confused as to why it just destroyed the monster whenever last time he tried it, on a regular balloon, and it didn't even do anything to it. As he thought to himself that he'll investigate it later. So he decides to just keep on defending and fighting. As to whenever he's fighting more of the monsters, some bigger ones come at him a little earlier than in canon, and they go down to hit him. As they land on the shield, the axe hits the shield, making a loud cling. Naofumi decides to throw a punch at it, and the monster would throw its hand out in front to catch it, blowing its arm completely off and half its body. Still being able to fight, it decides to throw its axe up in the air again to swing down on him. Naofumi throwing his shield in the way again to counter it. It hitting the shield as he swipes the axe away, and he would throw a harder punch, blowing the zombie monster in half again. As all you hear from the gauntlet is boost. And Naofumi gets more confused because he just used the word boost, and he gets stronger. As Raftalia makes it down there after all the civilians evacuate, he notices the warning for the incoming attack. As Naofumi would grab Raftalia, throw the shield up, and like in canon, all the attacks from the magic ball up top rains down and hits everything, destroying the whole entire village. The knights come in gloating that they just killed everything in there. They see the shield hero, and they say the same thing, "Oh, it's the shield hero. You're a tough one, aren't you?" Naofumi says to Raftalia, "Don't go attacking. Even if they didn't notice we're here, stay here. Just ignore them." As he stands up with Raftalia standing up next to him, as Naofumi says the same thing, and he says that you should fight as honorable knights, as he's fighting off the zombie as it was about to kill the captain of the squad. As the captain of the squad crawls away, Naofumi says to get in formation or whatever you need to do to help us defend the village. The knight says, then Naofumi says to Raftalia, "Come on, Raftalia, let's do this." She says, "Right," and they start doing the same fighting scene in the anime. As the knights are seeing this, the three leaders of the four decide to walk off to fight to help the heroes. As the last squad captain, like in the anime, says, "Get in Relec formation," I believe it's called. And then they all get into it, and he says to fight, or to arms. And they would all start fighting the zombies. Now for me seeing this, as he says to himself that guy right there is actually helping. He's trustworthy, but he keeps the front up, just in case. And then you just hear a loud word, "boost." As now for me is like, "Alright, let's try what this thing can do." And all you hear is a loud word come out of the gauntlet. "Explosion." As it creates a Dragon Ball right in front of him as he punches it just to see what it would do. A large red beam would shoot out right in front of him, destroying everything in his way, going up to the mountain, away from the villagers. It was far away from the villagers, just going up to the mountain, and half the mountain being, or just a giant hole in the mountain, as the whole mountain would crumble down. As Naofumi would look at the gauntlet, closing and opening his hand, and then looking at the gem, as the red aura and the ball in the middle would just disappear, going back to the regular green color it was. Naofumi thought that it was probably the boosted gear that Drake was talking about, as Drake would then chime in saying, "That's right, partner. That was my ability called Explosion." Naofumi thought that Drake could only speak to him in his dreams. Drake would say, "No, I can talk to you in your head, but it looks like you were probably going to be another one of the strongest boosted gear wielders out there." As Naofumi would think that he would remember that Drake talked about the other wielders, and he would say that there was another stronger person than me, wasn't there? Drake would say, "Yes, there was. There was one more person, but not even he was able to do an explosion on the first level of the boost gear. And naofumi would say, huh, looks like I'm gonna be a stronger host than you thought, Drake. Drake would say, yes, you're right, partner. As then naofumi would look at his hands and it's glowing red, as it turns into the second level boosted gear. As naofumi would look at his hands, as there's a giant spike at the bottom of it, by the elbow side, pretty much on the opposite side of his palm, towards his elbow, is there's just a large spike going towards his elbow. Thinking that it looks pretty neat, but is this going to be a full covering armor? As Drake's now able to speak out loud from the gauntlet, as before he was speaking to him in his mind. Drake then says yes as the crystal glows whenever he said yes. naofumi holds up the gauntlet to his hand, looking at it like a phone, as Raftalia would walk over asking what he's doing. As naofumi said that he's talking to his gauntlet. As Drake would say, yes, partner, I can now talk to you through the boosted gear. You've reached a level high enough that I can do this, and pretty fast too. naofumi would say, yeah, I'm kinda like that. As Drake would kinda laugh, saying, you are right, so now what's with that shield? naofumi would hold the shield up close to the gauntlet where Drake is. And he would put it up to the gem to let Drake look at it. As Drake would look at it and he would inspect it. As he would say, so, you're not from this world, are you, partner? naofumi would say, how'd you know? As Drake would say, I can kinda see, I see what you see, and everyone in this world is fantasy-like. The other wielders from where I'm from are not like that. They are pretty much from 20th century Japan. naofumi would be stunned to hear this, as he would say, I only thought this boosted gear stuff you talked about was from this land. Drake would say, no, I'm originally from a world where he would explain about the devils, angels, fallen angels, the dragons, the demon clan, the angel clan, and everything like that. The war, and he would tell him that he didn't tell him this before, but the power of Drake and the divine dragon are strong enough that they can kill gods, devils, and fallen angel generals with ease. naofumi asked, why did you trust me with this thing? Wouldn't you think I would just go evil with it? Drake would say, it's your choice on how you feel with it. You can go as evil and as heartless as you want, but I am still going to be your partner. The only thing is you'll go down as the most powerful and evilest wielder of the sacred boosted gear in history. naofumi would think about this for a minute, saying, alright, fine. No evil path for me, since I have to be a hero. Because I'm the shield hero. naofumi Iwatani. Raftalia would say, yeah, you are the shield hero. And also, your name is Drake, as she would look at the boosted gear gauntlet. Drake would say, yes, Raftalia. Half raccoon, correct? She would say, yes, how'd you know? As Drake would say that whatever his partner sees, he can see. As well as he can see through some of his memories. naofumi being a little creeped out by this, knowing that he's seen everything in his life from birth to current conditions. But the Knight Commander did walk up to naofumi saying, there's a party waiting for you and rewards. Head over to the capital to get them. And naofumi reluctantly saying sure, as he would go with all the other heroes to the capital, as he was in the party. Him and Drake are talking about how the boosted gear works and what kind of training regimen they should do in order to get stronger. And Raftalia comes over with food, and Drake says, partner, you should eat. You haven't eaten anything since we last talked. and that was about 24 hours ago. Naofumi says, yeah, but I can't taste anything, so there's no point in eating anyways. As Raftali would just say, come on, try it a little bit, please. As Naofumi would say, fine. As he would take a bite, and Raftali asks how it was. Naofumi says that he still can't taste it. Raftali, being a little bummed out, would go to get more food to eat, as Naofumi just kept talking. As Motoyasu would walk up and called Naofumi to get his attention. Naofumi turning and looking at him, as Motoyasu would throw the glove at him, this time hitting him in the face, making Naofumi stand up with anger in his eyes, as Drake would tell him in his head, calm down, partner. You don't want to go Juggernaut mode or limit break right here, do you? Naofumi thought to himself that he doesn't want to, but I really, really don't like this guy. Drake says, just deal with it. You can deal with him later. As Raftali would run over to Naofumi, standing next to him, about to draw her sword out, as the knights would put a gag on her mouth and restrain her. And the king would give the same speech that we have been informed that you have a slave in your party, Shield Hero. And this is not acceptable by any law. I order you to accept the duel. Naofumi says, fine. If you win, or Motoyasu says, if I win, she gets released. And Naofumi says, and if I win, Naofumi says that, or Motoyasu says that won't happen. But if you do, she'll be returned to you. And Naofumi says, deal. We get down to the fighting square where it happens in canon. Naofumi looks around at the weapons as he tries to pick up a sword with his shield hand. It doesn't work. Then he tries picking up a sword with his gauntlet hand with the boosted gear, and it works. Naofumi being surprised that he can actually pick up a weapon. As he asks Drake what's going on, Drake says, that curse on the shield is preventing you to pick up any weapons. But, since I'm not from this world, and I am a divine dragon that can kill gods, I must be an outlier, which means I am able to wield weapons that are not a weapon class to you. Now for me thinking that this will be easy, but I'm not going to use a weapon to make it less suspicious. Drake says, you're smart, partner. Now let's do this. As all you hear is boost, 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 before the doors open. And Naofumi says, I think 4 boosts will be fine, Drake. Thanks. Drake says, no problem, partner. Let's show this guy who's boss. As the doors open to the arena, as the announcer says, the fight will be in the presence of King Melremark and the Pope himself. As they will get ready to fight. As they run at each other, Naofumi throwing a punch at Motoyasu, sending him flying back to the pillar on his side where he started. Before Motoyasu hits the pillar, he sticks the spear into the ground, slowing him down, creating a giant line in the floor with a dividend in the ground. Motoyasu looking up as Naofumi's almost right in front of him, as he throws up his spear for a jab. The spear hitting the shield, deflecting it, as Naofumi goes for a punch. Naofumi misses the punch, but hits the ground instead where Motoyasu was. A giant crater was hit onto the floor, destroying the pillar right in front of him, as it couldn't support itself and it falls over. Motoyasu looks back and asks if he was going to hit him with that. Naofumi says, yeah, come back here so I can do it. And Motoyasu runs from Naofumi, pretty much trying to forfeit the match, but he also remembers that he has to save that slave girl. So he runs back at Naofumi. He does his thunder, or his lightning spear attack. The shield, with using his reflexes, getting most of the attacks, but a couple hitting him. As Naofumi would use the what is it called? Airstrike shield, would launch it at Moriyasu, hitting him in the stomach like he does in Canon. But this time, he doesn't have as many balloons on him, so he doesn't use them. And plus, he has the boosted gear, so why use balloons when you have a fist so strong it can destroy God? So he runs at Naofumi, or he runs at Moriyasu, and Naofumi and Moriyasu are about to hit each other. Moriyasu hitting the boosted gear gauntlet as Naofumi would punch Moriyasu in the face with the side of the shield. And the shield's clinking Moriyasu in the face, bruising his jaw, as he lands on the floor holding his jaw. Naofumi holding his hand with blood rushing out from the gauntlet of the boosted gear. Drake asking in his head, "Are you okay, partner? That was a pretty heavy blow." Naofumi saying out loud, "Yeah, I think I'll be fine." Moriyasu looking up and questioning, "What do you mean, yeah, you'll be fine?" As Naofumi kicks Moriyasu in the gut, and he takes out a balloon and he just drops it on him, covering it, and then just uses the shield prison, trapping him in there with the balloon. As Mine uses a wind blast, knocking Naofumi away. Naofumi gets up, saying that she has magic. Drake says, "Don't lose it, partner. If you do, you're gonna lose." Naofumi says, "Right, keep a calm mind and let's do this." So as Drake and Naofumi get ready to fight Moriyasu again, Mine launches another air blast at Naofumi. This time he catches it with the shield. Or no, he catches it with the gauntlet. The gauntlet absorbing the force of it. Then launches it back at Mine, sending her back into a pillar, knocking her out. And then he looks back at Moriyasu as he destroys the shield prison as he's right in front of him, using his Chaos Spear, hitting Naofumi multiple times, but not making him go on the ground almost unconscious. Naofumi sitting on one knee as Moriyasu puts the spear right up to his face. As Naofumi's about to use Explosion, Drake says, "Don't do it, partner. If you do, you're going to destroy that whole entire side, and all those people will die." Naofumi stops himself from hitting the small ball. Instead, he takes the small ball in his hand, hits Moriyasu right in the stomach, launching him backwards as a miniature explosion would occur. Instead of almost killing Moriyasu, it would just be almost like a stun grenade. Pretty much just like like an explosion, but more of a repulsive explosion than a deadly explosion, sending him flying back, as they would continue fighting for another 5 minutes, with Naofumi hitting Moriyasu in the face hard enough to knock him out, making Naofumi the winner. The king didn't want to say it, but he had to, saying, "The shield hero is the winner. Release the slave girl to him now." As Naofumi would get Raptalia back, and they would just continue on their way. Drake, at night, after they get their spare food from the kitchen, Raptalia gives the same speech he does whenever he's crying on the ground, making him realize that she's grown up and not a little kid anymore, and he can trust her fully. So, they're then sitting up on the wall, eating their sandwich as he says he can finally taste it. As Drake says, "Congratulations, partner. You finally got some of your feelings back. Now let's go on a bigger adventure. Let's see if we can get some money, get some gear for our little lass over here, and get stronger. We need to get you to unlock Scale Mill and Balance Breaker." Naofumi says, "Right. Let's do this, Drake." As Drake would say, "Let's do this, partner." As they would walk off to go outside of the castle walls to go get some more gear. But before they do, they decide to stop at the slave trader to see how he's been. The slave trader greets Naofumi at the door of his tent, saying, if it isn't the shield hero, you did very well at your duel the other day. It was quite a show. As he would look down at the gauntlet, and he would say, well, that's new. That wasn't there before, now was it? Naofumi moving his hand away from the slave trader's face, saying, yeah, this is new. As Drake would speak up, saying, so you're the man that gave us this, the half-raccoon Raftalia, correct? The slave trader being taken aback by this, thinking that a gauntlet just talked. The slave trader saying, yes, I am the man that sold the slave Raftalia to the shield hero. As Drake would thank the slave trader for saying that he now actually has his feelings back thanks to her. And I'd like to thank you for selling her to him. The slave trader saying it's no big deal, then asks what the shield hero is doing here. The shield hero says that he wants to see how his business is doing and if anything's new. The slave trader saying that we now have a monster lottery. And his Drake and Naofumi at the same time would say, so this is like a gacha game? And Raftalia would ask what's a gacha game, and Naofumi would say, never mind. We came here to see if you can do some, if you have enough gear, or if you have some more gear for us, or if you know what this star above our tags are, because, wait, no. Hang on. Okay, never mind. They don't ask for a class upgrade. They ask if anything's new, and he says about the monster lottery, and he buys an egg, and they get some more supplies. And they go to get their armor repaired as well, because he took a little damage. So he goes to pick up his armor and everything as they go to head out. As they go back to the town that they saved during the wave, as they would stay there for a couple days, helping repair, and as well as raising the egg. And as soon as the egg starts cracking, Raftalia wakes up Naofumi, saying, Master Naofumi, come look at this, as he would wake up, and he would watch as the egg cracks open. And a little Philolial pops out, and it's the one we all know and love, Philo. So as Naofumi looks at the little Philolial as it flies up and lands on his head, laying down, and starts chirping, Raftalia says it must be imprinting, as Drake starts laughing, saying it looks like you're a mother now instead of a father. Naofumi telling Drake to shut up. And they would continue, over the next 2 days, they would go around helping and training and raising Philo, or the Philolial, as to where it gets so big that he has to let it stay in the stables. As the third day they're there in the afternoon and they're talking about Philo and what they're going to do next, the people of the town are running to the front gates as Motoyasu, Mine, and a couple of the knights are there saying that this town now belongs to the spear hero, Motoyasu. As Motoyasu's sitting there being proud, and Naofumi would say Motoyasu, and Motoyasu would say, Naofumi, what are you doing here? Naofumi says, I can ask you the same thing. As Motoyasu says, well, the king gave me this city, or this village, as a home base, so I'm the lord of this town now. Naofumi says, no, you're not. You'd be even worse than I would. And Motoyasu taking a little offense of this, and Mine, being Mine, would be telling her to fight, and the shadow would appear, giving her the order instead to do a race. And that's where I'm going to leave it off. I hope you guys enjoyed, and part 2 will come out tomorrow with part 1 of the Technopath, part 5 of Lelouch, and possibly part 2 of the Kaioken technique. So I hope you guys enjoy. Peace.